Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Hey, glad to be here.
I'm your host, and as always, I'm here to take that just massive stack of articles and research papers and, those deep web form threads you've been meaning to read.
The one's piling up in the bookmarks, yeah.
Exactly. I take all that and distill it into something you can actually use.
What?
We are your shortcut to being the most well-informed person in the room.
And I'm here to help connect those dots because, information is great, but context is everything.
Right.
My job is to find the patterns, ask the hard questions, and hopefully figure out why any of this actually matters to your life.
And today, we're doing something just a little different. Usually we're tackling these broad concepts, right, like tech trends or geopolitical shifts, that sort of thing.
Big picture stuff.
Right. But today we are zooming in with a microscope. We're doing a deep dive into a single, very pivotal 47-minute block of television history.
We are talking about Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, Season 5, Episode 11. The episode is titled Confessions.
And if you're a fan of the show, just hearing that title probably sends a little shiver down your spine. I mean, it does for me.
Oh, absolutely. It's iconic.
Now, our mission today isn't just to recap the plot for you. Anyone can read a Wikipedia summary. Right?
Yeah, we want to dig deeper.
I want to explore how this specific episode serves as a masterclass in manipulation. It was widely considered the major turning point for this series' endgame.
It really is the fulcrum, because before Confessions, there was this kind of lingering possibility that Walter White could maybe, negotiate his way out of trouble.
Just talk his way out like he always does.
Exactly. But after this episode, the bridge isn't just burned, it's nuked.
It's completely gone.
So we're going to look at the plot mechanics, the character psychology, and we'll even get into the critical reception and some very surprising behind-the-scenes facts.
Oh, yeah, involving a retail CEO of all people.
Which is just a wild story.
It is. Now, just to be transparent about where we're getting our intel for you, our primary source today is the comprehensive data available on the episode. So that includes detailed plot breakdowns, production notes, and the awards history associated with the script and the performances.
Which is a complete goldmine if you dig deep enough. And I think the best place to start is with that title, Confessions.
Right, because when you hear the word confession in a crime drama, you usually think of a very specific image.
An interrogation room, a tape recorder.
Right, someone finally admitting guilt. You think of redemption.
But that's the trap. That is the exact trap the writers set for us, because in this episode, confession doesn't mean truth.
No, not at all.
It means weapon.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
We actually see two distinct types of confessions here. We have the lies we tell to protect ourselves, which is obviously Walter White's specialty.
His bread and butter.
And then we have the truths that absolutely destroy us, which is the path Jesse Pinkman is walking.
It's the difference between using a confession as a shield and a confession as a grenade.
Precisely. It's a defensive versus offensive maneuver.
So let's unpack this, because we have a lot of ground to cover. We've got a video confession that is essentially a logic puzzle designed to completely destroy a DEA agent.
We've got the exact moment Jesse Pinkman's psyche shatters.
And we have the acting performance that likely won Aaron Paul his Emmy. So let's just jump right into the titular confession, the masterstroke.
Okay, to understand the brilliance of Walt's move here, we really have to look at the setting.
In the restaurant.
Right. The episode opens with a meeting. Walt and Skyler White are meeting Hank and Marie Schrader for dinner.
And they choose a Mexican restaurant. Garduno's.
Which is a real place in Albuquerque, by the way.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but the choice of venue is incredibly strategic on Walt's part. It's a public place.
Right, you can't just lose it in public.
Walt is banking entirely on the social contract. You don't scream at your family or arrest your brother-in-law while the waiter is standing there offering you tableside guacamole.
Which is exactly what happens. The waiter keeps interrupting them.
It's darkly hilarious, but the tension at that table is just suffocating.
It really is. You have Hank, who we know has finally figured out that Walt is Heisenberg. Yeah. He's furious. He is boiling over.
And then you have Walt trying to play this weird, calm negotiator role.
Like a CEO handling a PR crisis.
Exactly. Walt is trying to manage the situation. He's treating it like a business merger gone wrong. But Hank isn't having it.
Not for a second.
The meeting is a complete disaster. It goes absolutely nowhere. Hank isn't interested in a deal. He wants justice.
He wants to slap the cuffs on him right there.
So as they leave, Walt plays his card. He slides a DVD across the table.
Just a simple blank writable DVD.
Now, if you're Hank, what are you thinking in that moment?
I mean, you're probably thinking, okay, this is it. He's turning himself in. Or maybe it's a suicide note.
That would be the logical assumption. You expect him to fall on his sword.
Right.
But when Hank and Marie get home and pop that disc into the player, they don't get an apology. They get a narrative flip that is so audacious, you almost have to respect the raw strategy of it.
It is evil genius. Let's break down the twist here. Walt looks into the camera, and he starts with that classic line. My name is Walter Hartwell White. I live at 308 Negra Arroyo Lane.
It echoes the pilot episode perfectly, the framing, the delivery.
And he admits to cooking meth. He admits to being the chemist.
So technically you could argue he is confessing to the crime.
He confesses to the act, but he completely changes the agency. He claims he was forced to cook.
Forced to cook by Hank.
By Hank Schrader, the assistant special agent in charge of the DEA. It's insane.
Walt spins this incredible, intricate story where Hank is actually the mastermind. He's the real Heisenberg.
He says Hank has been building a meth empire for years.
And used Walt, a mild-mannered dying chemistry teacher, as essentially his slave.
He says Hank threatened his family, threatened to kill him, and forced him to brew the product to fuel Hank's distribution network.
It's the evil twin defense on steroids. It's so brazen.
But here's the thing that always gets me about this scene. On the surface, it sounds ridiculous, right?
Why would anyone believe a drug dealer claiming the DEA agent made him do it?
It sounds like a desperate lie from a cornered criminal.
Exactly.
And if that were all, it wouldn't work at all. The DEA would laugh it out of the room.
Right.
But this is where we see the terrifying genius of Walter White. He knows that a good lie, a really good lie, needs to be anchored in verifiable facts.
We have to sprinkle in the truth.
He takes indisputable truths and completely recontextualizes them to frame his accuser, and then he drops the checkmate detail.
The money.
The physical therapy bills.
This is the linchpin. This is what makes the whole thing work. We have to rewind a bit for you if you don't recall the details of season 3 perfectly.
Because it's a deep cut.
Remember when Hank was shot by the cartel cousins?
The hitman, right. Hank was nearly paralyzed.
He needed extensive top-tier physical therapy just to be able to walk again. His insurance wouldn't cover the specialists. Marie was desperate. She just wanted her husband to walk. She was vulnerable.
And Walt and Skyler stepped in. They offered to pay the bills.
And crucially, they told Marie the money came from Walt's gambling winnings. That was the whole cover story Skyler came up with.
Which was actually meth money.
Correct. So Marie took the money. Hank didn't know. Hank thought it was his insurance covering it.
But the reality, the paper trail reality, is that Hank Schrader's recovery was funded by roughly $177,000 of drug money.
That is the smoking gun.
It is. Because when Walt brings this up in the confession video, it changes the entire landscape.
Because think about it from an outsider's perspective. If Hank tries to prosecute Walt now, Walt releases this tape. An internal affairs investigator looks at the financials, and what do they see?
They see a direct line of cash.
A direct line from the Heisenberg operation to Hank Schrader's medical bills.
It effectively destroys Hank's credibility instantly. It looks like a payoff.
It looks like Hank was taking his cut of the profits. It makes him look like a cartel boss.
It makes prosecuting Walt impossible without Hank incriminating himself as a participant in the scheme.
It is mutually assured destruction. Classic Cold War tactics.
It's scary how good Walt is at this. He took the one act of kindness he did, helping a family member with medical bills, and he weaponized it into a legal shield.
It shows the absolute moral decay of the character at this point. He is willing to destroy Hank's career, destroy his reputation, using Hank's own physical trauma against him just to stay out of jail.
And it leaves Hank paralyzed all over again. Not physically this time, but legally. He's frozen.
He's totally trapped, which buys Walt the time he needs.
But Walt isn't just manipulating Hank here. As we move into this next section, we see that Walt is fighting a war on all sides.
He really is spinning plates.
And the most heartbreaking plate he's spinning is his own son, Walter Jr.
This scene is so difficult to watch because it involves exploiting a child's love.
Yeah, in the episode, Walter Jr. is just trying to go to his Aunt Marie's house. He says she asked him to come over to help fix a computer and stay for dinner.
Which is innocent enough. Junior doesn't know about the criminal warfare happening behind the scenes.
But Walt knows. Walt knows exactly what Marie is trying to do.
He knows that if Junior goes to that house, Marie might tell him the truth about his dad. Or Hank might interrogate him. Walt needs to keep his son in the dark.
He has to isolate him.
So what does he do? He confesses again.
But just like the DVD, it's a manipulated truth. He sits his son down looking all sad and tells him that his cancer has returned.
Yeah, this is technically true. We know from the flash forwards and the chemotherapy scenes that the cancer is back.
Right, he isn't lying about the disease.
But look at why he shares this information right at this exact moment. He isn't seeking support. He isn't sharing a burden with his family.
No, he's using the news as a leash.
He knows that if he tells his son I'm dying, Junior will be too emotionally devastated to leave the house. He'll want to stay and comfort his dad.
It's pure emotional blackmail. He effectively cripples his son with grief to prevent him from speaking to the Schraders.
It's so dark. It reinforces the idea that Walt views everyone, even his own flesh and blood, as pawns on a chessboard.
It's one thing to outsmart a DEA agent, right? It's another thing to emotionally cannibalize your own kid just to maintain your cover story.
And it works. Junior stays home.
Now, speaking of people who view others as pawns, we really have to talk about the other confession happening in this episode, the one involving Todd Alquist.
Todd, the character who perfectly represents the banality of evil.
We have a scene at a diner. Todd is sitting there with his Uncle Jack and Kenny. And these guys are neo-Nazis. They're hardened, violent criminals.
And Todd is recounting the famous train heist from earlier in the season.
Right, from the Dead Freight episode. One of the most high-octane, intense moments of the entire series.
Todd is telling the story to his uncle like he's talking about a fishing trip. He's bragging about the mechanics, the timing, how much methylamine they managed to siphon out.
He's so proud of himself.
Yeah.
But there is a glaring omission in his confession to his uncle.
He completely leaves out the murder.
He doesn't mention the young boy on the dirt bike that he shot, Drew Sharp.
Right. In the actual heist, a young boy stumbled onto the scene, and Todd instinctively, without hesitating, shot him dead just to leave no witnesses.
But in retelling the story to Jack and Kenny over burgers, that detail is completely gone.
Why do you think that is? I mean, these guys are murderers. Uncle Jack has swastika tattoos. Would they really care about a dead kid?
That is the fascinating question here. I don't think Todd leaves it out because he feels guilty.
No, definitely not.
I think he leaves it out because he views it as a professional error.
A mistake.
Exactly. If he admits I had to shoot a civilian kid, it makes the operation sound messy. It sounds hot.
It brings heat from the cops.
Right. By leaving it out, he presents himself as clean, efficient, and highly professional. We got the goods, nobody saw us.
That is chilling. To him, the murder isn't a moral failing. It's just a glitch in the workflow that he edited out of his status report.
And it works perfectly. The outcome of this conversation is that Jack and Kenny are deeply impressed. They agree to let Todd cook meth on his own.
Which sets up the new world order for the rest of the show.
Yes. This scene firmly establishes the new management. We've gone from the cold corporate evil of Gus Fring to the ego-driven chaos of Walt. And now we are entering the era of Todd and Uncle Jack.
Ruthless but casual.
Ruthless but casual is a terrifying description.
It really is. They're literally eating diner food, wiping ketchup off their mouths, and planning a multi-million-dollar meth empire.
So we've got Walt lying to Hank, Walt lying to Junior, and Todd lying by omission to Jack. But now we have to shift gears and talk about the person who is absolutely sick of the lies.
Jesse Pinkman.
This brings us to the unraveling of Jesse.
Poor Jesse. He really is the moral punching bag of the series.
He takes so much abuse.
In this episode, things start badly for him right from the jump. Hank actually gets to him. Hank gets him alone in an interrogation room and tells him point blank, I know Walt is Heisenberg.
This is a huge moment. Hank lays his cards on the table. He tries to flip Jesse. He wants Jesse to corroborate the whole story and bring Walt down.
But Jesse refuses. Even after everything Walt has done to him, the poisonings, the manipulation, he refuses to cooperate with the cops.
It's the street code. You don't talk to the DEA. And frankly, Jesse is terrified of Walt.
He knows what happens to people who cross Heisenberg. He's seen it firsthand.
So Saul Goodman swoops into the precinct and gets him released. And that leads us to the desert meeting.
Visually, this show always uses the desert as a stage for the naked truth. It's where civilization is completely stripped away.
That's where the masks come off. So Walt meets Jesse out in the middle of nowhere, and Walt has a proposal.
He tells Jesse that Saul can contact a man who specializes in creating new identities.
The source identifies this guy as Ed Galbraith, the vacuum cleaner repairman, also known as the Disappearer.
Walt frames this whole thing as a huge favor, and he says, go start a better life, live the life you want, you're young.
He's playing the benevolent father figure again.
But Jesse isn't buying it anymore. The fog has finally lifted for him. He confronts Walt directly. He calls out the manipulation right to his face.
It's such a powerful scene. He screams at him to stop working him. Jesse knows. Walt killed Mike Ehrmantraut.
He knows this isn't about Jesse's happiness. It's about Walt tying up a loose end.
He is basically begging for the truth.
Yeah.
He effectively says, just tell me you need me to leave, because if I stay, I'm a liability to you. Just be honest for once in your life. Don't frame it as a favor.
And what does Walt do in response to this raw honesty?
He hugs him.
He hugs him, a long, tight embrace.
And Jesse just crumbles. He completely breaks down and cries in Walt's arms.
It's agonizing to watch. What is that hug? Is that a genuine fatherly moment? Or is it just the ultimate manipulation?
That is the eternal question of their entire relationship.
I think it's both, which makes it even more toxic.
Right.
Walt does have this twisted affection for Jesse, but he also knows that this display of love is the only button he has left to push.
Is his last resort.
By hugging him, he silences Jesse's protest. He doesn't admit to killing Mike. He doesn't admit to the danger. He just suffocates all the questions with this embrace.
It feels exactly like an abusive relationship cycle playing out in real time. The abuser senses the victim pulling away, so they love bomb them to bring them back under control.
It absolutely is. And tragically, it works momentarily. Jesse agrees to go.
He agrees to leave town. He goes to Saul's office to pack up and prepare for the disappearer.
Which brings us to the epiphany. This is the moment the entire house of cards falls down.
We really need to take our time here because the logic chain the writers built is complex and the show doesn't hold your hand. It fully expects you to remember details from season 4.
Right. So Jesse is at Saul's office. He's ready to go to Alaska to start over. He's got his duffel bags, but he has a joint on him. He's smoking weed in the office.
And Saul is nervous. The disappearer guy is a strict professional. He will not take you if you're high or if you're carrying drugs. It's too much of a risk for his operation.
So Saul scolds Jesse and tells him to dump the weed.
But Jesse being Jesse, he refuses to toss it. He's stubborn.
So Saul gives a little signal to his bodyguard, Huel Babineau.
Huel, the large man with the very, very quick hands.
As Jesse walks out the door, Huel bumps into him. It looked like a clumsy accident, just a little stumble in the narrow doorway.
But it's a pickpocket move.
Yeah.
Huel lifts the bag of weed right out of Jesse's pocket.
Jesse doesn't notice at first. He goes outside. He's standing on the curb waiting for the relocation van to arrive. He reaches into his pocket for his weed, and it's gone.
Now, for most people in that situation, you just think, oh man, the bodyguard took my weed, what a jerk. You'd be annoyed, but you'd get in the van anyway.
But for Jesse, this specific physical action, reaching into his pocket and finding it empty, triggers a cascade of memories. It completely connects the dots to the ricin cigarette incident from season 4.
We need to break this down simply for the listeners because it is the aha moment of the entire season.
Let's map it out step by step.
Wow.
Step 1, go back to season 4. Jesse had a cigarette with poison with ricin hidden inside it. It was intended for Gus Fring.
Right. Step 2. That specific cigarette went missing from Jesse's pocket. And at the exact same time, Brock, the young son of Jesse's girlfriend, was poisoned and ended up in the ICU.
Step 3. Jesse panicked. He logically thought Brock somehow found the cigarette and smoked it. But Walt convinced him otherwise.
Walt sat him down and said, Gus Fring must have had his men pickpocket that cigarette off you. Gus poisoned Brock to frame me and turn you against me.
Exactly. Walt sold this elaborate story that Gus used a pickpocket, and Jesse believed him. That lie is the only reason Jesse agreed to help Walt kill Gus Fring.
Now flash forward to the present moment. Jesse is standing on the curb. He realizes Huel just pickpocketed his weed without him feeling a thing.
The realization hits him like a lightning bolt. You can literally see it. If Huel is a skilled pickpocket who can lift a bag of weed without Jesse noticing.
Then Huel was the one who lifted the ricin cigarette back in season 4.
And if Huel stole the cigarette, he did it on Saul's orders. And Saul works for Walt.
Therefore, Walt had the cigarette stolen. Walt orchestrated the whole panic. Walt was the one who poisoned Brock, not Gus.
It's the moment the blinders fall off completely. The father figure isn't just a manipulator. He is a child poisoner. He almost killed a little boy just to win a chess match against Gus Fring.
That realization, man, you can see it on Aaron Paul's face. It just transforms him.
He doesn't get in the van. The red van pulls up. The driver is sitting right there waiting, but Jesse turns around.
He storms back into Saul's office. And this time, he is not crying in the desert. He is completely enraged.
He physically attacks Saul. He beats him down. He pulls a gun on him. He screams at him to admit it.
And Saul, terrified for his life, he confesses. He admits that Huel took the cigarette on Walt's orders.
The truth is finally out.
And unlike Walt's DVD lie earlier in the episode, which was calculated and cold and sterile, this truth is hot. It's chaotic, and it is incredibly destructive.
Jesse grabs Saul's car keys. He drives straight to the White residence. He kicks in the front door.
And this leads us right into the climax.
He starts pouring gasoline everywhere. All over the living room, the rugs, the furniture. He is going to burn the Heisenberg empire to the ground, literally.
Meanwhile, Saul is frantically calling Walt to warn him. He's saying he knows. He knows about Barack.
And what's Walt's reaction?
He rushes over to the car wash, his perfectly legitimate front business, and he retrieves a hidden snub-nosed revolver from the soda machine area.
He freezes, the gun is in his hand, and then the screen just cuts to black.
Talk about narrative tension.
The pacing is absolutely masterful. The episode moves from a stalemate, that intellectual chess match with the DVD at the dinner table, to a potential explosive ending.
It completely shifts from psychological warfare to physical destruction.
And that is exactly where the episode leaves us hanging. With the gasoline pouring and the gun being loaded.
You start with a quiet conversation over chips and salsa, and you end with arson. It's brilliant.
It really is.
Now I want to pivot a bit. We've covered the story and the narrative structure, but let's talk about how this episode was made and how it was received by the world.
There are some fascinating tidbits here in the production notes. First off, the critical reception was stellar, as you'd probably expect.
The numbers definitely back it up. 4.85 million viewers watched this episode live.
Which was a noticeable increase from the previous episode. The momentum was really building. The audience knew the end was near.
And, retrospectively, The Ringer ranked this episode the 24th best out of all 62 episodes of the series.
Which is highly respectable given how many flawless episodes this show actually has.
Oh, for sure. And the acting was recognized immediately by critics. TV Line named Aaron Paul their Performer of the Week.
And frankly, he deserved it for that desert scene alone, let alone the realization scene.
Well, the industry clearly agreed with them. Because in 2014, Aaron Paul won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series.
And this specific episode, Confessions, was his official submission tape for the voters.
So when he stood on that stage and held that trophy, it was largely because of the work he did in this 47-minute window.
The total emotional breakdown in the desert, followed by the murderous rage in Saul's office. That is textbook Emmy-winning material.
The range required to go from vulnerable sobbing to just violent rage in one single hour of television is incredible.
And we can't forget the writing either. Gennifer Hutchison won the Writers Guild of America Award for Episodic Drama for this specific script.
Which is a huge honor. It shows that her peers, her fellow professional screenwriters, saw the intricate complexity of that DVD confession and the perfect pacing of the ricin reveal, and they recognized it as top-tier storytelling.
Now here is where the research gets weirdly fun. We promised a retail CEO cameo earlier.
Yes. This is such a great piece of trivia. Did you happen to notice the customer at the car wash early in the episode?
The guy Skyler waits on?
The guy she gives the wrong change to because she's so distracted by the Hank situation.
Yeah, that guy. That is Miller Drexler.
And who is Miller Drexler exactly?
At the time, he was the chairman and CEO of J. Crew Group.
The clothing store.
Yes.
What is the CEO of J. Crew doing in an Albuquerque car wash on Breaking Bad? Apparently, he was just a massive, massive fan of the show. He loved it so much that he essentially used his connections to ask for a cameo.
And how did he do as an actor?
Well, he has maybe 8 or 9 words of dialogue total. Just saying hello, thank you, very basic stuff.
Simple enough, right?
But according to the production notes, it took 9 takes to film those 8 words.
9 takes. I guess being a highly successful CEO doesn't automatically make you an actor.
It proves that acting is a lot harder than it looks. You can run a billion-dollar retail empire, but standing naturally in front of a camera and just taking change from Skyler White. That takes a completely different skill set.
That is hilarious. I love those little behind-the-scenes details. It grounds the show in reality, ironically.
It's a great fun Easter egg for the business nerds out there.
So we've unpacked the lies, the truths, the acting, the writing, and the corporate cameos. What does this all mean when we zoom out?
If we look at the big picture of the final season, this episode is the catalyst. Before Confessions, there was a sense that maybe, just maybe, Walt could talk his way out of this.
Maybe he could negotiate an uneasy truce with Hank. Maybe Jesse would just fade away into the background.
After this.
After this negotiation is dead, Walt nuked the bridge with Hank using the DVD. And the truth about Brock nuked the bridge with Jesse.
The realization about Huel And the ricin cigarette acts as the match.
Literally and metaphorically.
It perfectly sets up the chaotic, violent finale of the series.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no going back to the status quo for any of these characters.
No, the lies were what held their world together. The truth is what's tearing it apart.
That's a really powerful takeaway. Think about it. The DVD confession, which was a total lie, kept Hank frozen and safe in a way. But the realization about the cigarette, which was the truth, set Jesse on fire.
And that actually leads me to a question I'd like you, our listeners, to think about after we wrap up here.
Let's hear it.
In an episode defined by confessions and lies, the most destructive force turned out to be the undeniable truth. Jesse realizing who poisoned Brock. Does this suggest that in the Breaking Bad universe, ignorance was actually safety?
Expand on that a bit.
Well, think about it. If Jesse had just gotten in that red van, if he hadn't checked his pocket and realized the truth about the cigarette, he would have been free.
He would have had a brand new life in Alaska.
He would have been safe.
He would have escaped the cycle of violence entirely.
Exactly. The truth didn't set him free. The truth destroyed his chance at freedom and sent him right back into the hell of the meth trade and everything that happens to him in the final episodes. It's a very dark thought.
Wow. That really is something to chew on. Is the truth always worth it? In Breaking Bad, the answer seems to be maybe not.
It's definitely not a fairy tale where the truth comes out and saves the day.
No, it isn't. Well, on that cheerful note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive into confessions.
It's been a real pleasure analyzing the darkness with you.
Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe. We've got plenty more curated downloads of knowledge coming your way soon.
Until next time.
Stay curious, everyone.
What?
And check your pockets.